Today we're presenting my wife's prized Rotkraut. It's commonly served with any kind of Christmas dinner over here in Germany, alongside goose, deer goulash, rouladen, or sauerbraten. The recipe is very simple. You'll need 1 red cabbage, 4 medium-sized apples, 2 medium-sized red onions, 3 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of white wine vinegar, half a liter or 2 liquid cups of apple juice, some ground cloves and nutmeg, a few bay leaves, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. If you didn't memorize that after I said it, I'm sorry, you're no longer allowed to make this dish. Sometimes cabbages come in smaller sizes, and if you happen to buy a small one, you'll probably want to half this recipe. We'll be working with a large red cabbage specimen, but because of a lack of pot real estate, we'll be making half of this recipe ourselves. You're going to start out by shredding your red cabbage. You can use some kind of shredding technology if you have access to that kind of device. We do not. We do have forks though, and this grater. Don't underestimate its size, this bad boy can grate an alarming amount of Parmesan, which unfortunately is not related to the kraut. But I'm not a cabbage scientist. We wound up shredding the cabbage by using a good old knife. Just try to get it as thin as possible. Thicker slices will also work, it's actually a style of this dish, but you might want to boil it for longer if you go thicker. Before we get to the boiling though, peel and dice your apples and onions. Now we're ready to cook. My wife would like you to know that she's went above and beyond and actually cleaned the stovetop for filming this time. This was a requirement for me to say and was listed like a point to get to in a sponsored video. First, heat your butter in a pot, a big pot. Sauté your diced apples and onions until that shit smells good. Now slowly add your red cabbage while stirring and pour in your vinegar and apple juice. You may want to save some extra apple juice off to the side in case you need it, which I'll explain in just a moment. Continue by adding your bay leaves, sugar, clove, nutmeg, and season to taste with salt and pepper. Cover your pot with a lid and let your cabbage simmer for 40 minutes to an hour depending on the thickness of your cabbage strips. Make sure to check your pot every 15 or so minutes, or 30 if you're feeling brave. If it's getting dry at the bottom, add some of your apple juice. Any burnt pieces will ruin the taste, so it's best to stay on top of that. Take out your bay leaves and let your cabbage cool a little before transferring to a clean jar. If you put it in a dirty jar, I will judge you, and you do deserve it. The entire mix should store in the fridge for 2 weeks. Ta-da! You have your Rotkraut. If you're asking what to do with it now, don't worry, I've got you. So basically what you're going to want to do with this stuff is eat it. If you want some suggestions on what to serve it with, we use it on top of noodles or rice, in salads, on top of hot dogs, with different meat dishes as a side, and so on. It'll really suit anything though, as long as you think it'll pair well with something that's sweet and vinegary. Your house will likely smell like ketchup by the end of this process, so keep that in mind as a positive or a negative depending on your ketchup preferences. When you're ready to eat your kraut, you can heat it up if you want or just eat it cold. We do both depending on the dish. You did it! You may now eat the Rotkraut. The most fun thing about this German classic is seeing how the juices react to different elements. At a neutral pH level, the color of the juice appears blue. If you add something acidic to the mix, like a dash of lemon juice, the mixture will turn bright red. If you add something with a more basic pH, the mixture turns from blue to green. The color range of this vegetable is very unique, and is a fun and safe chemistry experiment to conduct with kids if you happen to have any of those lying around, and if you decide to make Rotkraut. No fun allowed as an adult, those are the rules. Thanks for watching. We wanted to bring you some non-baking content, and golly did we deliver. If you want to follow our social media, it'll be listed in the description under the recipe. Have a good one.